sa Spain nag-amok at nanuwag ng mga manonood.
Nakaligtas kaya ang mga taong inatake ng toro? Nako, ang kabuoang detalye po ng balitang yan ating aalamin maya-maya. Magandang gabi. Ako po si Rikki Mathay.
Ako si Rikki Alagao Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Martes.
China inalmahan ang balikatan exercises ng Pilipinas at ng Estados Unidos.
Bilang ng mga kaso ng online sexual abuse sa Pilipinas tumaas sa 2.7 million.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu nangakong tatapusin na nito ang giyera sa Gaza.
Harvard University kinasuhan si Pangulong Donald Trump.
At higit sa 200 pasahero ng Delta Air inilikas matapos magliyab ang makina ng eroplano. Kinundena ng China ang isinagawang taunang balikatan exercises sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at ng Estados Unidos at sinabing nakapipinsala umano ito sa regional stability and economic growth ng Indo-Pacific region.
Iginiit ng Chinese Foreign Ministry na pinili umano ng Pilipinas na manggulo sa pamamagitan ng pagpayag sa deployment ng strategic at tactical weapons ng bansa na hindi umano kasama sa rehiyon. Nasa 17 mga sundalo sa taunang balikatan ng exercises ang inaasahang lalahok sa nasabing military drills kung saan magsasagawa ang sandatahang lakas ng dalawang bansa ng Integrated Air and Missile Defense Simulation. Inaasahan na i-deploy sa war games ang Nemesis anti-ship missile system ng Estados Unidos sa Luzon kung saan malapit ito sa Taiwan. Kasunod ito ng mga ulat na agresibong nang himasok ang China sa katubigan ng Taiwan gayon din sa exclusive economic zone ng Pilipinas.
当前，国际社会面临单边主义、保护主义、霸凌霸权的冲击，本地区国家迫切希望加强团结协作，共护地区稳定，携手应对挑战。在这一大背景下， 菲律宾伙同域外国家大搞军事演习，引入和部署战略战术武器，破坏地区战略稳定，破坏本地区经济增长前景，公然站在地区国家的对立面，已经遭到地区国家的强烈反感和反对。台湾问题纯属中国内政，是中国核心利益中的核心。 中方坚决反对任何国家以台湾问题为借口，强化地区军事部署，挑动紧张对抗，破坏地区和平稳定。奉劝有关方面不要在台湾问题上挑衅，玩火者必自焚。
Nagpulong ang Department of National Defense at mga Japanese officials para pag-usapan ang mga paksa ukol sa defense equipment transfer and technology collaboration sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at ng Japan. Layon nitong palakasin pa ang defense cooperation ng dalawang bansa para masiguro ang regional peace at stability sa Indo-Pacific region. Sinabi ni Nishiwaki Osamu, ang Deputy Commissioner of Acquisition, Technology and Logistics Agency, na bukas ang Tokyo na lalo pang palalimin ang ugnayan nito sa Pilipinas. Anya, ang pagkakaroon ng enhanced cooperation sa defense technology and equipment ay nakakaambag sa kapayapaan ng dalawang bansa, gayon din sa buong rehiyon.
Tumaas sa 2.7 milyon ang naitalang kaso ng online sexual abuse and exploitation of children sa Pilipinas. Ayon po yan sa ulat ng Commission on Human Rights o CHR. Batay sa CHR Child Rights Center 2025 report, as of the end of 2023, mas mataas ang naitalang kaso ng 6 na beses kumpara sa naitala noong taong 2019. Mula sa 426,000 na online sexual abuse and exploitation of children incidents noong taong 2019, naghalos triple naman ito sa pagtatapos ng 2020 kung saan umabot na ito sa 1.297 million incidents. Natukoy naman ang nasabing report na may kinalaman ng economic vulnerability, partikular ang kahirapan bilang primary factor ng tumataas na bilang ng online sexual abuse and exploitation of children.
Iniulat ng National Food Authority o NFA na lumago ang kanilang rice buffer stocks sa 5-year high. Ayon sa ahensya, sumampa ang buffer stocks nito sa 7.17 million 50 kilogram bags ng milled rice. Ito na po ang pinakamataas na natila na inventory o natalang inventory level mula nang magtapos ang taong 2020. Giit ng NFA, sinuportahan ito ng mas mataas na palay buying price na umabot naman sa 27 pesos per kilo noong 2023 at 24 pesos per kilo ngayong taon.
Hindi binanggit ni Vice President Sara Duterte kung ano ang paghahanda ng kanyang legal team para sa kanyang impeachment case. Pero pag-uwi niya galing sa The Hague ay nakipagpulong-anya siya sa kanyang mga abogado. Ayon sa bise, more than confident ang kanyang kampo na mananalo siya sa impeachment trial.
Ang aking impeachment, sinasabi ng mga lawyers, they are more than confident na mananalo sila sa impeachment. Ako naman, I am most confident with the lawyers working on my impeachment case. So, yun lang.
Matatandaan na pagkatapos i-impeach ng Kamara si VP Sara noong February 5 ay nagsumite rin agad ito ng articles of impeachment sa Senado para sa pagdinig. Pero ayon kay Senate President Francis Cheese Escudero ay sa July 30 pa sisimulan ang impeachment trial pagkatapos ng pre-trial proceedings at panunumpa ng mga bagong halal na senador na magsisilbing judges din ng naturang kaso. Samantala, sinabi ni VP Sara na dahil sa nangyaring injustice kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, ang siyang dahilan kaya siya nag-e-endorso ng mga kandidato.
Ang kay Camille Villar naman at ang kay Senator Amy Marcos, hindi naman odd or awkward dahil si Senator Amy Marcos, kilala niya ako, magkakilala kami. At si Camille naman ay matagal ko na rin siyang kilala.
Lalong lumakas at lalong lumawak ang relasyong pang-ekonomiya ng Pilipinas at Taiwan. Ito'y matapos lagdaan ni Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin ang Memorandum Circular No. 82 na siyang nagbibigay ng gabay para sa economic-related travel ng mga opisyal ng Pilipinas sa Taiwan. Dahil rito, mas na-maximize ang pagkakataon para sa pag-unlad at pagpapalawak ng areas of priority investments ng Marcos administration. Tinawag ni Taiwan Minister of Foreign Affairs Lin Chialong na isang pragmatic step ang ginawa ng Pilipinas at sinabi nitong interesado ang Taipei na palalimin ang substantive cooperation ito sa bansa. Batay sa datos ni Minister Lin, nananatiling ika-9 ang Taiwan sa pinakamalaking trading partner ng Pilipinas.
Good news naman po tayo dahil bahagi po ng aming pagbibigay ng serbisyo publiko, muli po tayo magsasagawa ng public service activity. Tampok po rito ang mga ahensya ng gobyerno katulad ng Philippine Statistics Authority, Pag-ibig Fund, PhilHealth, Social Security System o SSS at Quezon City Government. Ang mga serbisyong iaalok ay ang mga sumusunod: Birth Certificate, Certificate of No Marriage, Pag-ibig Loyalty Card, PhilHealth ID, Quezon City ID at PWD ID. May isasagawa ring medical mission sa araw na ito. Maaaring i-avail ang libreng eye check-up, X-ray, sugar test, ECG, blood pressure test at pulse oximeter. At hindi pa dyan nagtatapos ha, para naman po sa mga naghahanap ng trabaho, magsasagawa rin po ng job fair kasama ang New Era University. Kaya naman, huwag nyo na itong palampasin. Punta na po bukas, April 23, 2025, sa araw ng ika-25 taong anibersaryo ng Net25. Walang iba po kundi gaganapin ito sa Net25 Complex sa number 25, Central Avenue, Culiat, Quezon City. Simula po yan alas 8 ng umaga hanggang alas 5 ng hapon.
Susunod, patuloy na pag-atake ng Russia sa Ukraine military units sa Kursk region.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu nangakong tatapusin na ang giyera sa Gaza.
At Harvard kakasuhan si US President Donald Trump. Patuloy pong umantabay, magbabalik pa ang mata ng Agila International.
Trust.
Namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba, sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Ilalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Matagumpay ang pagsubok ng Chinese researcher sa isang 2-kilogram non-nuclear hydrogen bomb na nagpakawala ng isang malakas na chain reaction. Nagdulot ang pagsabog nito ng puting fireball na umabot ng higit sa 1,000 degrees Celsius na sapat para tunawin ang aluminum-based alloys. Napanatili rin ito ang higit 2 segundo na pagsabog na mas mahaba kumpara sa TNT. Kinikilala ang paglaganap nito na estratehikong pagbabago ng China mula laboratory patungo sa industrial scale magnesium hydride production. Hindi pa man malinaw ang iba pa niyang aplikasyon, inaanyayahan na gamitin ito upang sirain ang high-value military targets. Nagmamarka ito ng isang makabuluhan na technological advancement sa weapons development.
Nagpadala ang China ng isang ceasefire monitoring team sa Laureus, Myanmar. Ayon kay Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ko Jiakun, aktibo ang kanilang gobyerno na tumulong sa Myanmar para sa pagsusulong ng prosesong pangkapayapaan.
当事双方赞赏并感谢中方为维护缅北和平稳定所发挥的建设性作用。下一步，中方将继续推进昆明和谈进程，做好缅北止战促谈的工作，与缅甸各方共同维护中缅边境的和平与稳定。
Nagsimula ang civil war sa Myanmar noong taong 2021 nang patalsikin na militar nito ang isang inihalal na pamahalaang sibilyan. Nagbunso nito ng isang kilusang protesta sa buong bansa na naging isang armed rebellion laban sa grupong junta. Kinumpirma ng Russia ang patuloy na pag-atake nito sa Ukraine military unit sa Kursk region habang sinasabi naman ng Kyiv na nilalabanan nito ang mga pambobomba ng Moscow. Narito po si Angel Milano para sa karagdagang detalye.
Ayon sa Russian Defense Ministry, patuloy ang special military operation ng armed forces nito. Ayon sa ahensya, matapos ang 30 oras na truce noong Lunes, ipinagpatuloy ng units ng North Military Group nito ang pag-atake sa Ukrainian military units sa Kursk region. Isang sasakyang militar at piyesang kanyon ng Ukraine ang nawasak. Dagdag pa ng ahensya, pinabagsak ng air defense nito ang higit sa 100 Ukrainian drones noong Lunes sa Kursk at Belgorod regions ng Russia. Samantala, sinabi naman ng Ukrainian Air Force noong Lunes na naglunsad ang Russia ng isang anti-ship cruise missile, 2 anti-radar missiles at 96 attack drones ng umaga doon. At pagsapit ng bandang alas 9, pinabagsakan niya ng Ukraine ng 42 drones sa eastern, northern at central regions ng Russia. Kapwa inaakusahan ng Russia at Ukraine ang isa't isa ng paglabag sa ngay paso ng truce. Anjo Milano para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Kumitil ng 12 katao ang inilunsad na airstrikes ng Amerika sa kabisera ng Yemen. Sugatan naman ang 30 iba pang mga individual ayon sa Houthi rebels. Ayon naman sa Houthi, tinamaan ang isang sikat na pamilihan sa Farwa district sa kabisera ng Sanaa. Ang naturang lugar ay tinarget na noon ng mga Amerikano. Sa footage na ipinalabas ng isang news channel ng Houthi, makikita ang pinsala sa mga sasakyan at mga gusali sa lugar. Tinamaan din sa magdamag na strikes hanggang nitong Lunes ang iba pang lugar sa Yemen, kabilang ang Amran, Hodeidah, Marib at Saada governorates. Tumanggi naman ng US military na Central Command na magkomento kaugnay sa naturang pag-atake at kung may mga sibilyang nadamay sa insidente. Ang naturang pag-atake nangyari sa gitna ng pinaigting pangkampanya ng Estados Unidos na maglunsad ng strikes target ang rebelding grupo dahil sa pagpunterya ng mga ito sa mga barkong dumaraan sa Red Sea. Ginawa rin ng US ang pag-atake matapos tumama ang airstrikes sa Ras Isa fuel port sa Yemen noong nakaraang linggo na kumitil naman sa 74 katao at ikinasugat ng 171 iba pa.
Isang protesta po ang ginanap sa Tel Aviv, Israel bilang suporta sa mga bihag na magpahanggang ngayon ay nasa Gaza pa rin. Narito pong report ni Chantel Santos.
Nagmistulang tunnel ang promasyon ng mga demonstrador sa Tel Aviv, Israel noong Lunes. Ginagaya nila ang kondisyon ng mga bihag na hanggang sa kasalukuyan ay ipit pa rin sa Gaza. Balot ng kadenang bakal at pulang pintura na sumisimbolo sa dugo, ang mga demonstrador na nananawagang wakasan na ang gyera at palayain na ang mga bihag. Para sa isang inang si Anat Angrest, hangad niyang pauwiin na ang kanyang anak na si Matan.
My son was kidnapped from Nahal Oz. He was defending this country, and this country is obligated to defend him, to bring him back. He is badly injured from 7 October. And after that is tortured, is investigating in how the violence, and they came here to say that first of all, he has to come back home.
Dagdag ni Angrest, walang mabuting patutunguhan ang pagpapatuloy ng labanan.
Every citizen in Israel wants first to bring all their brothers and sisters that are still in Gaza back home. After that, we will treat Hamas. This war wasn't before 7 October, and my son pays the price. And now, after 1 year and a half, this is the time to stop the war, to bring our children home, and then make a new plan, because this war is not going everywhere. Hundreds of soldiers were killed 41 hostages were killed while they were kidnapped alive. And now this is the time to stop and bring all 59 back together.
Pangamba ng isa pang anak ni Andres na si Ophir, tila unti-unting nalilimutan na ang mga natirang bihag sa Gaza, kabilang ang kapatid nitong si Mathan.
אנחנו כאן היום כדי לצעוק את הזעקה של אח שלי, שנמק וסובל כבר מעל 550 ימים. אח שלי ועוד 59 חטופים נמצאים עכשיו בגיהנום חמאס. אין לנו תחושות בלב, אנחנו כל כך שבורים וכאובים. אני כל כך מתבייש שהגעתי למצב שאני עומד היום עם הבגדים של אח שלי מהחטיפה כדי שמשהו יזוז. אני מרגיש שאת החיילים החטופים לאט לאט שוכחים.
Bilang mensahe ni Ophir sa kanyang kapatid at iba pang bihag, hindi sila nag-iisa.
אחים שלנו שעכשיו שמה ואנחנו כאן ומקבלים את מלוא האוכל ומלוא החופש והם נמקים שם ופשוט מתים שם לאט לאט. אנחנו חייבים לעשות את הכל כי מגיע להם כל כך לחזור הביתה למשפחות שלהם. ואת מתן, אח שלי, אם אתה צופה בזה, אתה לא לבד ואני אמשיך לעשות הכל ואני אלחם עליך עד שתהיה בבית. אין כאן עניין של לחכות ולוותר, אתה צריך להיות הראשון יחד עם כל 58 חטופים שמשתחררים בפעימה אחת ובעסקה אחת.
Chantel Santos para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Patay ang nasa 29 katao matapos magsagawa ng overnight airstrikes ang Israel sa iba't ibang tent areas sa Gaza. Ang mga lugar na ito ay nagsisilbing pansamantalang tirahan ng iilang taong nawala ng tahanan dahil sa giyera sa kanilang rehiyon. Ayon kay Civil Defense Agency spokesman Mahmoud Basal, ay nagsagawa ang Israel ng night raid sa iilang bahagi ng Al-Mawasi at Beit Lahia region ng Gaza. Sinabi naman ng Israel na layo nito na targetin ang mga naiiwang miyembro ng Hamas na nagtatago sa rehiyon. Binuweltahan naman ito ng Palestinian Authority kung saan sinabi nilang itinalaga ng Israel bilang humanitarian zone ang naturang parte ng kanilang teritoryo at tila non-combatants, bata at kababaihan lamang ang mga natira sa lugar. Samantalang formal namang tinanggihan ng Hamas ang ceasefire proposal ng Israel dahil sinabi nilang handa na sila na pakawala ng lahat ng kanilang mga bihag kapalit ng pagtatapos ng giyera sa Middle East. Una nang nagpaabot ang Israel ang proposal para sa isang 45-day ceasefire kapalit ng 10 hostages. Inakusahan naman ng rebeldeng grupo si Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu na ginagamit ang mga partial agreements para sa kanilang pansariling interes upang tuluyang masakop ang kalakhang parte ng Gaza.
استعداد الحركة للبدء الفوري في مفاوضات الرزمة الشاملة بحيث يتم إطلاق سراح جميع الأسرى لدى المقاومة وعدد متفق عليه من الأسرى الفلسطينيين في سجون الاحتلال مقابل الوقف التام للحرب على شعبنا والانسحاب الكامل من القطاع مع بدء الإعمار وإنهاء الحصار. إن المقاومة وسلاحها مرتبط بوجود الاحتلال وهي حق طبيعي لشعبنا وكل الشعوب الواقعة تحت الاحتلال. إن الاتفاقات الجزئية التي يستعملها نتنياهو وحكومته هي غطاء لأجندته السياسية القائمة على استمرار الحرب والإبادة والتجويع حتى لو كان الثمن التضحية بأسراه جميعا. ولن نكون جزءا من تمرير هذه السياسة.
Nagpaabot ang Qatar at Egypt ng bagong ceasefire proposal para tapusin na po ang digmaan sa Gaza. Ayon sa isang opisyal ng Palestine, napakapaloob sa nasabing plano na magkaroon ng 5 hanggang 7 taong tigil putukan, pagpapalitan ng mga bihag at bilanggo, pag-atras ng mga sundalong Israeli sa Gaza at formal na pagtatapos ng digmaan. Inaasahang darating sa Cairo ang isang high-level delegation mula sa Hamas para makipagpulong. Samantala, wala pang sagot ang Israel sa naturang proposal. Sa dako naman ng Palestine ay sinabing bukas ang militanteng grupo ng Hamas na ipasa ang pamumuno ng Gaza sa ibang grupo katulad ng Palestinian Authority. Sa kabila ng pagbigay suporta ng international community sa kampanya ng Palestinian Authority, ay mariing tinutulan ni Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ang anumang papel ng Palestinian Authority sa pamamahala sa Gaza pagkatapos ng digmaan.
European Union sees the Palestinian Authority as best placed to govern Gaza. Here, Prime Minister, you can also count on the EU's support in helping the Palestinian Authority to prepare. The EU strongly opposes the resumption of war. It is causing an appalling and unacceptable loss of life in Gaza. My message during my visit here are very clear. Hamas must release all hostages. Israel must fully reinstate humanitarian aid to Gaza, and negotiations must resume.
Ipinarating ni Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sa isang televised address na hindi niya titigilan ng Hamas sa Gaza Strip hanggang makamit nila ang ganap na tagumpay.
הנחיתי את צה"ל להגיב בתקיפות ולהגביר עוד יותר את הלחץ על חמאס. אנחנו במלחמת התקומה, מלחמת 7 החזיתות. למלחמה זו יש מחירים כבדים מאוד, כי כל אובדן כזה הוא עולם ומלואו. אבל אין לנו, כעם חפץ חיים, שום ברירה, אלא להמשיך ולהילחם על עצם קיומנו עד הניצחון.
Ayon kay Netanyahu, may karapatan ng Israel na iwaksi ang ganitong banta at para maibalik ng ligtas ang kanilang mga mamamayan sa kanilang mga tahanan at ito anya ang kanilang ginagawa. Iginiit din ng Israeli PM na kanilang ipagpapatuloy na paigtingin ang pag-atake sa rehiyon dahil sa pagtanggi ng Hamas sa kanilang ceasefire proposal sa kabila ng kaliwat ka ng kilos protesta laban sa desisyon niya na ipagpatuloy ang gyera.
כבר מתחילת המלחמה שמענו קריאות לסיומה בכניעה. והקריאות הללו התגברו לאחרונה. לו הייתי נכנע לקריאות הללו, לא היינו נכנסים לרפיח, לא היינו כובשים את ציר פילדלפי, לא היינו מבצעים את מבצע הביפרים, לא היינו מחסלים את סינואר, את דף, הנייה וגם נסראללה. לא היינו יוצרים את התנאים לנפילת המשטר של אסד והפגיעה הקשה בציר של איראן. ולא היינו משנים את פני המזרח התיכון. פשוט היינו ממשיכים לחיות תחת סכנה קיומית.
Itinuro din ni Netanyahu ng Iran ay nagiging destabilizing force sa Middle East region dahil sa pagsuporta nito sa Hezbollah at Hamas. Kaugnay nito, binalaan ni Netanyahu ang Iran na gaganti sila kapag naglungsad ito ng strike laban sa Israel. Dinipensahan din ni Netanyahu ang mga inilunsad na airstrikes ng Israel sa Gaza kung saan sinabi niyang layunin nitong suportahan ang pangarap ni Donald Trump para sa rehiyon.
ולכן אני רוצה להגיד לכם גם כמה מילים על איראן. אני מחויב למנוע מאיראן נשק גרעיני. אני לא מוותר על זה, אני לא מרפה מזה, ואני לא נסוג מזה. לא מילימטר. אנחנו בשלב מכריע של המערכה. ובשלב הזה נדרשים אורך רוח ונחישות כדי לנצח. אם ניכנע לתכתיבי החמאס עכשיו, כל ההישגים האדירים שהשגנו בזכות לוחמינו, בזכות חללינו, בזכות פצועינו הגיבורים, כל ההישגים הללו פשוט ירדו לטמיון.
Inambush ng Al-Qassam Brigades ang armadong grupo ng Hamas sa mga sundalong Israeli sa Al-Tufa, Gaza City. Tinagat nila ang isang tangke, bulldozer at hammer ng Israel kung saan nasunog ang mga ito at may mga sundalong nasugatan. Dahil sa engkwentro, isang sundalo ang namatay at 2 sugatan. Kinilala ang nasawing sundalo bilang si Gihaleb Silman na al-Nasasra. Sa South Gaza naman po, umatake rin ang Al-Qids Brigade sa mga sundalong Israeli gamit ang rocket at mortar. Hindi pa tiyak ang kanyang kalagayan. Sinabi ng Hamas na delikado na ang mga bihag dahil sa patuloy na pambobomba ng Israel.
Sa ibang balita, umani ng kritisismo ang naging pahayag ni U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. patungkol sa mga taong may autism.
The first ADDM survey was 22 years ago when prevalence was 1 in 150 children. In all the core states, the trend is consistently upward, and most cases now are severe. So about 25% of the kids who are diagnosed with autism are nonverbal, non-toilet trained, and have other stereotypical features, head banging, tactile and light sensitivities, stimming, toe walking, etc. We know it's an environmental exposure. It has to be. Genes do not cause epidemics. They can provide a vulnerability. You need an environmental toxin.
Ito ay kasunod ng pagtaas ng bilang ng mga naitalang autistic sa Estados Unidos. Sa kanyang directive order, inatasan niya ang National Institutes of Health na imbestigahan ang environmental exposure ng mga diagnosed individuals. Anya, malaki umano ang ambag nito sa pagtaas ng mga kaso.
Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. These are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted.
Dagdag pa niya, nakababahala ang pagpapatakbo ng Institute of Health kung ganito ang paniniwala ng namumuno rito. Ayon naman kay Secretary Kennedy, sa darating na Setyembre ay malalaman na nila ang dahilan ng paglobo ng autism sa US.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna follow the science no matter what it says, and we will have some of the answers by September. It's going to be an evolving process. We're going to issue grants the way that it's always done to university researchers and others. We're going to remove the taboo. People will know they can research and they can follow the science no matter what it says without any kind of fear that they're going to be censored, that they're going to be gaslighted, that they're going to be silenced, they're going to be defunded, de-license, and we're going to give them permission to do this research.
Naghain ng reklamo ang Harvard University laban sa administrasyong Trump matapos mag-demand ito na kontrolin ang mga akademikong desisyon ng nasabing universidad. Nagugat ito sa pagtanggi ng Harvard sa mga demands ng pamahalaan, kabilang na dyan ang pagkontrol sa academic policies and views. Bilang sagot, banta ng pamahalaan ang pag-review at posibleng pagtanggal ng hanggang $9 billion sa federal funds kasama na ang agarang pagtigil ng $2.2 billion sa mga grants. Binigyan diin sa kaso ng presidente ng Harvard na si Alan Garber ang paglabag sa constitutional rights ng universidad at ang pagtanggi ng pamahalaan na makialam sa academic policies, admissions, pag-hire at pananaliksik. Ang kasong ito ay ang unang legal na hamon ng isang universidad sa pagpapatibay ng administrasyong Trump sa mga institusyong pang-edukasyon, lalo na sa pagtugon sa mga protesta ng mga mag-aaral na ukol sa conflict sa Gaza. Inaakusahan ng pamahalaan ng mga universidad ng pagpapalaki ng anti-Semitism at bias na magkaroon ng mga kilos protesta laban sa Israel noong nakaraang taon.
Natuwa ang Russia sa narinig nito mula sa Washington na hindi kasama sa usapan ang pagiging miyembro ng Ukraine sa NATO. Paliwanag ni Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, isang banta sa pambansang interes ng Russia kung makasasali sa NATO ang Ukraine. Sa katunayan niya, ito ang isa sa mga ugat kung bakit nagkaroon ng Ukraine War.
Членство Украины в НАТО исключено, мы слышали из Вашингтона на разных уровнях. И, безусловно, это то, что вызывает наше удовлетворение и совпадает с нашей позицией о том, что Украина не должна быть членом НАТО и не должна иметь перспективы интеграции с Североатлантическим альянсом. Это представляло бы собой угрозу для национальных интересов Российской Федерации. И, собственно, это одна из первопричин этого конфликта, о которых неоднократно говорил президент Путин.
Tumanggi naman si Peskov na magkomento kung may kasundo ang pangkapayapaan na bang mailalabas ngayong linggo. Ngunit tiniyak nito na bukas ang Russia at si Moscow leader Vladimir Putin sa isang peaceful settlement. Patuloy niya silang nakikipagtulungan sa Estados Unidos para matapos na ang naturang digmaan. Susunod, 20 katao sugatan matapos makawala ang isang toro sa Spain.
China naglunsad ng robot fishes.
At higit 20 pasahero ng Delta Airlines plane inilikas matapos magliab ang makina nito. Magbabalik pa ang mata ng Agila International.
Na balita at rumaratsyad ang usapan ng bayan. Ihahatid namin sa 100%! 100% ang pagbabalita!
100% talakayan!
Lunes hanggang Biyernes.
Alas 5 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga.
Live na live sa Radyo Agila 1062 Mega Manila.
At sa Net 25.
100%!
Sa Net 25, let's get together. Sa Net 25.
Matatapang na mga komentaryo.
Tingin ng masa dito, this is just actually a ploy to weed out a person who potentially can actually win in 2028.
Mga balita at impormasyong hihimayin. Kasama ang mga batikang komentarista. Sina Ali Soto.
Hindi pa ako nakakapag-umpisa kong. Dahil aminado naman kayo, kalabisan din yung ginagawa ng ibang kasama nyo dyan.
At Pat P. Daza.
Desperado na siya. There's no way na makakapasok yung kanyang slate unless patayin itong 15.
Sa ASPN. Ano sa palagay nyo? Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga, dito sa Net 25.
Together sa Net 25.
Nagbabalik ang mata ng Agila International at sa pagpapatuloy po ng mga balita ngayong gabi. Hindi bababa sa 20 katao ang nasaktan sa Spain matapos atakihin ng nakawalang toro sa lansangan ng Arcos de la Frontera, Cadiz Province. Makikita sa video na pinakawalan ang hayop sa itim na box, subalit nang nakalabas na ito ay dire-diretso nitong sinugod ang koral. Dito na po nagsitakbuhan ang mga manonood at dahil sa lakas ng hayop ay nasira nito ang harang. Makikita na sinuwag at natapakan pa ng toro ang maraming tao, kabilang na po rito ang mga bata. May napaulat naman na 3 individual ang dinala sa ospital dahil sa tinamo nilang malubhang pinsala sa kanilang mga katawan.
Pinangangambahang patay na ang isang Israeli diver matapos atakihin siya ng pating sa Olga Beach malapit sa Hadera. Mula sa video na nakalap, makikita ang aktwal na shark attack. Mapapansin sa video ang palutang-lutang na diver habang makalipas ng ilang sandali ay makikita ang pag-agos ng kulay pula sa tubig na pinaniniwala ang dugo ng biktima. Ayon sa Nature and Parks Authority, naganap ang shark attack sa area kung saan ipinagbabawal ang paglangoy ng mga tao. Agad namang nagsagawa ng investigasyon ng pulisya sa insidente. Sa ngayon, hindi pa nahanap ang katawan ng diver.
Hindi nakaligtas ang 5 katao sa pang-aararo ng truck sa Gombe State sa Nigeria. Ayon sa ulat ng Federal Road Safety Corps, naganap ang insidente bandang 7:20 ng umaga sa kalsada ng Tasangona. Sangkot sa pang-aararo ang 18 individual kung saan 8 rito ay lalaki habang 10 rito. Kaagad naman nila ang mga biktima dinala sa pagamutan habang nakuli ng mga pulis ang truck driver.
Nasa ligtas na lagay naman ang higit sa 200 pasahero ng Delta Airlines matapos magliyab ang makina ng Airbus A330 sa Orlando International Airport sa Florida. Ayon sa Federal Aviation Administration, patungo sana ang aircraft sa Atlanta bago naganap ang insidente. Tinukoy naman ang pamunuan ng Delta Air na walang nasaktan sa mga pasahero at crew members ng Flight 1213. Anila, sinundan ng kanilang crew ang evacuation protocol at nasiguro nila ang kaligtasan ng kanilang mga pasahero. Iniimbestigahan na ng Federal Aviation Administration ang sanhi ng engine failure sa Delta airplane. Inilunsad ng isang universidad sa Shanghai, China ang kanilang realistic robotic fish sa publiko. Ang bionic aquatic animal na ito ay kayang kumilos katulad ng totoong isda. Mayroon din silang makukulay na coatings para magbukang isang real-life fish. Ayon sa China Agricultural University, inilunsad nila ang ganitong technology para makatulong sa fish farming. Higit pa rito, maaaring makatulong ang mga bionic fishes sa deep sea exploration at marine resource monitoring.
Tagumpay naman si Dako Leonard para sa Clippers-Nuggets series tie habang nagtapos ang losing streak ng Detroit Pistons sa kanilang laban sa New York Knicks para sa round 2 ng NBA playoffs. Kay Lara po para sa play-by-play.
Back up the floor, Leonard's gonna stop and pop a three. Kawhi nails a triple. Kawhi's got to put it up and just gets it off and hits again. What a shoot.
Nakabawi ang Los Angeles Clippers laban sa Denver Nuggets sa tulong ng pagkadominante ni Kawhi Leonard on the court matapos ng kanilang pagkabigo sa Game 1 overtime. Nagkamit si Kawhi ng 39 points na may 15 for 19 sa shooting at 5 assists para sa kanilang tagumpay na may final score na 105-102. Sa kabilang banda, nagtapos si Nikola Jokic ng 26 points, 12 rebounds at 10 assists, kasabay ng 23 points ni Jamal Murray para sa Nuggets. Samantala, nanaig naman ang Detroit Pistons laban sa New York Knicks sa kanilang pangalawang pagkaharap na nagtutol sa kanilang 15-game postseason losing streak. Nagkamit si Cade Cunningham ng 33 points at 12 rebounds, kasabay ni Dennis Schroeder na nagpasok ng tie-breaking three-pointer with 55 seconds left para sa kanilang series tie victory na may final score na 194. Kyle Lara para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Ginanap ang 2025 Laureus World Sports Award sa Madrid kagabi na nagmarka ng kanilang 25th edition ng prestihiyosong pagkilala sa mga biggest stars sa mundo ng sports.
Ladies and gentlemen,
sinimula ng awards night ng pagpresenta ng award ng dating World Sportsman of the Year na si Novak Djokovic kay Swedish pole vaulter 3-time nominee na si Armando Mundo Duplantis. Tumatanggap naman ang Laureus Lifetime Achievement ng 11-time World Surfing Champion na si Kelly Slater na sinamahan sa ranks of sports greats kagaya ni na football star Pele o women's tennis star Billie Jean King at F1 racer Niki Lauda.
Congratulations.
Yeah, Kelly.
Just getting to meet so many people through this and this week and be involved here as a surfer that's not generally recognized in this fashion. I really appreciate all of it, and thanks to so many of you.
Kasabay nito ang pagtanggap ng tennis legend na si Rafael Nadal ng kanyang Laureus Sporting Icon Award. Sinabayan naman ito ng isang standing ovation mula sa mga sports royalty na dumalo sa event.
Of sport. Thank you at the same time to Mr. Rupert for believing of the power of sport and putting together all this amazing effort that the Laureus Academy is doing in a daily basis to to change the destinies of a lot of people that they didn't have the opportunities that me or a lot of people in this room had. So thank you very much for this amazing job that you are doing, Laureus.
Nabigyan rin sina Simone Biles ng kanilang World Sportswoman of the Year Award at si Rebecca Andrade ng kanyang World Comeback of the Year Award para sa kanilang Paris 2024 podiums and achievements.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Laureus World Sportswoman of the Year, the GOAT, Simone Biles.
I want to thank Laureus so much for this incredible honor. I've been dreaming of moments like this since I was a foster kid, so I have to say thank you to my parents for adopting my sister and I, and for allowing me to turn my passion into my profession.
Muli pong nagpakitang gila sa McLaren driver na si Oscar Piastri matapos ang matagumpay na pagkapanalo sa naganap na Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Dahil dito, siya ngayon ang kasalukuyang nangunguna sa F1 Driver Standings 2025 matapos manalo ng 3 beses sa nagdaang 5 karera. Sa kasalukuyan, may kabuuang 99 points si Piastri at kasalukuyang kinakamit ang kanyang dream season. Pumapangalawa naman na ang kanyang kakampi na si Lando Norris na may 88 points, dahilan para makuha ng McLaren ang 2 nangungunang pwesto sa driver standings. Kasalukuyang nasa 3 pwesto sa driver standings ang defending champion na si Max Verstappen na may 87 points. Sa mismong Jeddah circuit ay pumangalawa ang Red Bull driver na si Verstappen matapos mapatawan ng 5-second penalty dahil naman sa paglabag nito sa regulasyon ng karera. Samantala, nakuha po ni Charles Leclerc ng Scuderia Ferrari ang 3 pwesto. Ito rin ang kanyang unang podium finish para ngayong taon. Ang tagumpay ng mga McLaren drivers ay nagbigay ng malaking kumpiyansa sa Team McLaren na makamit ang World Constructors Championship sa pangalawang sunod na taon matapos ang kanilang title drought simula noong taong 1998.
Naglabas na ng concept photo si Jin ng K-pop group na BTS. Ayon sa Big Hit Music, ang bagong album ni Jin ay naglalaman ng 7 tracks na nasa rock genre. Ilalabas nilang Echo album ni Jin sa May 2 alas 12 ng tanghali sa Pilipinas. Magsisimula rin ang kauna-unahang solo tour ng naturang BTS member sa June 28. Kamakailan ay nag-perform si Jin kasama ang British rock band na Coldplay sa Seoul.
Magsasama po sina Geller at Woods sa cast ng Ready or Not, Here I Come, ang sequel ng 2019 horror film na Ready or Not. Kasama rin sa bagong cast na Sean Hatosy, Nestor Carbonell, Kevin Durand at ang kilalang horror filmmaker na si David Cronenberg. Nagbabalik rin si Samara Weaving sa kanyang original character at ang mga direktor na sina Matt Bettinelli-Olpin at Tyler Gillette mula sa grupong Radio Silence kasama ang mga writers na sina Guy Busick and R. Christopher Murphy. Hindi pa ibinubunyag ang detalye ng kwento para sa sequel habang si Weaving ay isa rin sa mga executive producers. Ayon po kay Matthew Greenfield, ang presidente ng Searchlight Pictures, na lubos silang nasasabik na muli makatrabaho ang kahangahangang Radio Silence.
Susunod, mga corgi kumarera sa Scotland.
Freak Collection muling magbubukas para sa publiko makalipas ang 5 taon.
At abangan ang iba pang mga storya pagdating ni Alma Angeles at ng Net25 World News. At magbabalik pa rin ang mata ng Agila International.
people of Sudan mark 2 years of war. Fighting fire with fire. In Australia, age-old Aboriginal techniques help to fight bushfires. And big, colourful and pricey. In India, weddings are lavish. The industry's booming.
Global Us.
Nagpaunahan po sa finish line ang mga maliliit at cute na mga corgi sa isinagawang Musselburgh Racecourse Corgi Derby sa Edinburgh. Maliit at mabilis ang hakbang ng mga corgi na lumahok sa karera kung saan ang nagwagi ay gagantimpalaan ng trophy at dog treats. Ngayong taon ay nanalo ang 4-year-old corgi na si Juno sa 70-meter race kung saan inagaw niya ang tropeo mula sa 2023 champion na si Rodney. Ang taunang paligsahan na ito ay unang isinagawa noong taong 2022 bilang paggunita sa 70 anibersaryo ng pamumuno sa Great Britain ni Queen Elizabeth II na kinikilalang mahilig sa corgi. Nagsimula sa pagkahilig o ang pagkahilig ni Queen Elizabeth sa mga corgi nang uwian siya ng kanyang ama ng isang Pembroke Welsh corgi. Simula noon ay madalas makita ang mga alagang corgi sa tabi ni Queen Elizabeth II bago siya pumanaw noong taong 2022.
Matapos naman po ang 5 taong pagsasara at isang multi-million-dollar renovation, aba ay muling magbubukas po sa publiko ang The Frick Collection. Tampok ngayon sa museo ang mas pinalawak na gallery space at bagong 218-seat auditorium. Matatagpuan sa dating mansyon ng industrialista si Henry Clay Frick sa Upper East Side, New York, ang nasabing lugar. At sa unang pagkakataon po, bukas na ang ikalawang palapag para sa publiko kung saan matatagpuan naman ang isang bagong hanay ng mga gallery. Bukod sa bagong pasilidad, ibabalik ng museo ang mga patok nitong artist sketch nights at mag-host din ng mga history classes at special exhibitions. Bahagi rin ng kanilang bagong layunin ang pagbibigay ng oportunidad sa mga taong may kapansanan sa pamamagitan ng inclusive hiring. Dumagsa ang mga bisita sa araw ng pagbubukas upang masilayan muli ang mga obra ng mga old masters at iba pang mahahalagang koleksyon sa makasaysayang gusali.
Nagbukas naman noong Sabado sa Weifang, China, ang isang international kite event na nilahukan ng mahigit 200 samahan mula sa 51 mga bansa at rehiyon sa mundo. Nakita ng mga bisita sa kite event ang libu-libong mga saranggola na may iba't ibang uri ng mga disenyo, hangos sa kultura ng mga kalahok mula sa iba't ibang komunidad. Namangha ang mga libu-libong manonood sa sabay-sabay na paglipad ng mga saranggola. Nagiging hot topic naman sa social media ang kasabihang everything can soar tuwing dumarating ang ganitong mga kite events. Noong 2023 ay nasungkit ng kaparehong event sa Weifang ang Guinness World Record para sa largest kite event. Ang Weifang na nasa probinsya ng Shandong sa China ay kinikilala ngayon bilang kite capital of the world. Kasunod ng pagdiriwang na ito ay magkakaroon rin ng international kite event sa Mamallapuram, India na gaganapin sa Mayo ng taong ito.
At narito po kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako ng mundo. Magandang gabi po. Ako po muli si Rikki Mathay.
Ako si Rikki, Alagao, Flores. Ito pa rin ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman po sa iba pang mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa Net25 World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Rikki. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for Net25 World News. On tonight's headlines. Facing increasing pressure from the U.S. and other Western powers, Russian President Vladimir Putin has proposed bilateral talks with Kiev.
As we have always said, we look positively at any peace initiatives.
Ukraine maintains its proposal not to strike at least civilian infrastructure.
And we are expecting a clear response from Moscow.
Russia and Ukraine can get a deal this week. Do you think Russia and Ukraine can get a deal?
Yes. There's a very good chance.
And this move allows the contested Sunday ceasefire and comes as Washington warns of potentially withdrawing from peace efforts if progress is not made. And the news starts now. Facing increasing pressure from the U.S. and other Western powers, Russian President Vladimir Putin has proposed bilateral talks with Kiev. And this move allows the contested Sunday ceasefire and comes as Washington warns of potentially withdrawing from peace efforts if progress is not made.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday proposed bilateral talks with Kyiv for the first time in years and said he was open to more ceasefires after a one-day truce. Putin's comments come as he faces pressure from Washington to show a willingness to make peace in Ukraine. Speaking to a state TV reporter, he said Moscow was open to any peace initiatives and expected the same from Kyiv.
As we have always said, we look positively at any peace initiatives. We hope that the representatives of the Kyiv regime will also feel the same way. However, we have seen the initial reaction. I think everyone has noticed it. There was a statement published according to which our proposal was seen as a game with fates, with people's lives, and so on. But apparently there was someone smarter there who suggested, most likely from foreign overseers, that rejecting such initiatives is a losing position for the Kyiv regime, and they quickly agreed.
Both countries accused the other of violating Putin's truce, which Kyiv had largely dismissed from the outset as a stunt. Washington said it would welcome an extension of the truce. Zelensky, who has called for it to be extended to a 30-day ceasefire on civilian targets, said continued Russian attacks during Sunday's ceasefire showed Moscow was intent on prolonging the war.
Україна зберігає свою пропозицію не завдавати ударів щонайменше по цивільній інфраструктурі.
Ukraine maintains its proposal not to strike at least civilian infrastructure. And we are expecting a clear response from Moscow. We are ready for any conversation about how to achieve this. There is an obvious, simplest, and most reliable path to stop missile and long-range drone strikes, which would automatically ensure the protection of all civilian infrastructure. A ceasefire, real and lasting, must be the first step toward a reliable and enduring peace.
When asked about Zelensky's proposal, Putin said Russia should look into it. His spokesman later confirmed that Putin was referring to the possibility of direct talks with Ukraine. Separately, Zelensky confirmed Kyiv was sending a delegation to London to meet with the United States and other Western countries on Wednesday, follow-up from last week's meeting in Paris. In his statement on X, Zelensky made no reference to Putin's remarks on bilateral talks. Russia rejected a proposal from U.S. President Donald Trump last month for a full 30-day ceasefire, which Ukraine had accepted. The two sides are not known to have held any such talks since a failed peace effort in the early months of the war 3 years ago. Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio both said on Friday that Washington could walk away from peace talks in Ukraine altogether.
If for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that.
Trump took a more optimistic view on Sunday, saying that hopefully the two sides would make a deal this week.
Russia and Ukraine can get a deal this week. Do you think Russia and Ukraine can get a deal?
Yes. There's a very good chance. Are you happy with?
Across Europe, governments are accelerating arms production and even reconsidering nuclear sharing to counter perceived threats, and to do so with or without Washington's backing, raising the pivotal question of whether this buildup truly secures peace or inches the continent closer to war. London has unveiled a war-footing production model to massively boost domestic manufacture of RDX explosives and propellants, key components in artillery shells and missiles to build bigger stockpiles and cut reliance on U.S. and French imports. BAE Systems is setting up multiple containerized production sites, including a new facility in Glasgow, Wales, to increase output up to 16-fold. This push for self-reliance responds directly to concern about U.S. reliability under President Trump, ensuring Britain won't be caught off guard if American support wanes. Paris, which only last month restored domestic gunpowder production to supply Ukraine and shore up its own defenses, may view London's bid for munitions independence as a strain on decades-long collaboration. Polish President Andrzej Duda has formally asked France to station nuclear warheads on Polish soil, arguing that a French deterrent would better shield Poland from Russian aggression. And this follows an earlier appeal to the U.S. to transfer nuclear weapons under NATO's sharing program, underscoring Warsaw's search for the most dependable guarantor. Duda notes that both Belarus and Russia's Kaliningrad enclave, two of Poland's three neighbors, already host Russian nuclear arms.
First of all, everyone has to understand that what we see on our eastern border is now a hybrid warfare, which is waged by Russia and Belarus against Poland and against Europe, because they're trying to destabilize us. They're bringing migrants from all over the world, and they're trying to tell them that they would cross the border into Europe. Now, we've secured the border. I mean, now the border, our eastern border, and also the eastern border of the North Atlantic Alliance and of the European Union is one of the most secure borders in the world, because we need to show the right signal. We are together, then we can really deter all of the countries who wants to attack us or even threaten to attack us. This is really, really important.
These moves reflect deepening doubts across Europe about the dependability of the U.S. security umbrella and a shift toward more independent deterrent strategies. French President Emmanuel Macron has proposed a European nuclear umbrella, but experts are warning that deploying warheads and building the necessary infrastructure could take at least 5 years and would almost certainly draw a fierce reaction from Moscow. From the UK's explosive self-sufficiency drive to Poland's nuclear overtures, Europe is arming itself like never before. But more weapons, especially nuclear ones, don't necessarily guarantee peace. Harvard University sued to block U.S. President Donald Trump from freezing billions of dollars in federal funding after the elite research institution rejected the list of White House demands that it said would undermine its independence. The lawsuit filed in federal court in Boston said Trump has launched a broad attack on funding for cutting-edge research at major universities as he seeks to rid them of what he describes as anti-Semitism and ideological bias. This case involves the government's efforts to use the withholding of federal funding as leverage to gain control of academic decision-making at Harvard, according to the lawsuit. Harvard alleges the Trump administration's actions were arbitrary and unlawful and violated the university's First Amendment rights to free speech. The White House didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Since his January inauguration, Trump has cracked down on top U.S. universities, saying they mishandled last year's pro-Palestinian protests and allowed anti-Semitism to fester on campuses. Protesters, including some Jewish groups, say their criticism of Israel's military actions in Gaza is wrongly conflated with anti-Semitism. Harvard is the first university to file a lawsuit in response to Trump's crackdown. The Trump administration began a review of $9 billion in federal funding for Harvard in March and subsequently gave the university a sweeping list of demands, including a mask ban and end to all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And since then, the Trump administration has frozen $2.3 billion in funding to Harvard and threatened to strip the university of its tax-exempt status and take away its ability to enroll foreign students. It has also demanded information on the university's foreign ties, funding students and faculty. The Trump administration has also paused some funding for universities including Columbia, Princeton, Cornell, Northwestern, and Brown over the campus protests. According to Senator J.D. Vance, the Trump administration's trade policies are aimed at a fundamental shift in world trade, not just a return to past U.S. manufacturing levels.
Critics have attacked my president, President Trump, for starting a trade war in an effort to bring back the jobs of the past, but nothing could be further from the truth. He seeks to rebalance global trade so that America, with friends like India, can build a future worth having for all of our people together.
Now, Vice President Vance, who is on a mostly personal 4-day visit to India, was speaking in the northwestern state of Rajasthan, a day after holding talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. And his trip comes at a time when India is rushing to clinch an early trade deal with the U.S., its largest trading partner, before the end of the 90-day pause on the steep tariffs announced by President Trump's administration.
And we are especially excited to formally announce that America and India have officially finalized the terms of reference for the trade negotiation. I think this is a vital step. We, of course, want to collaborate more. We want to work together more. And we want your nation to buy more of our military equipment, which, of course, we believe is the best in class. We welcome the Modi government's budget announcement to amend India's civil nuclear liability laws, which currently prevent U.S. producers from exporting small modular reactors and building larger U.S.-designed reactors in India. There's much that we can create, much that we can do together. We believe that American energy can help realize India's nuclear power production goals.
U.S. stocks suffered steep losses as U.S. President Trump ramped up his attacks on Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. The president's tirade has prompted investors to worry about the central bank's independence, even as they grapple with the effects of Trump's ongoing erratic trade war. Now, all three major indices tumbled. The S&P 500 dropped 2.36%, the Nasdaq Composite is down 2.55%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 2.48%. Thomas I. Likeness for more.
Trump has been criticizing Powell since last week, saying interest rates have to come down immediately to stave off an economic slowdown. On Friday, he took aim at Powell again, saying rates should be cut.
Prices are coming down, not going up. Only the fake news says they're going up. The only thing that's even are interest rates. And if we had a Fed chairman that understood what he was doing, interest rates would be coming down too. He should bring them down.
Monday morning, in a social media post, the president doubled down on that, threatening to fire Powell. After trading ended Monday, Brian Crawes, who heads Scharf Investments, says Trump's tirade has rattled the markets.
Today with stocks, it's another ugly day. You had some tweets or Truth Social posts from the president of the United States threatening to fire Jay Powell. This is a continuation of the tariff and policy uncertainty. We've seen policy uncertainty now is well above where it was even during COVID, and with the potential for Jay Powell being fired, which would be unprecedented. That's really causing investors to really worry today.
Columbia University professor Jeffrey Sachs shares that view. He says Trump's chaos is scaring off investors.
I think the markets are reacting to our president, clearly. The policies are absolutely erratic. There is no strategy. The attacks on the Fed, the tariffs on, off, the huge fiscal deficits without any strategy whatsoever to get them under control. All of this is weighing heavily on the mood of the markets and on the public mood as well.
Sachs goes on to say that Congress should find its voice and take back its responsibilities. He says Trump has simply pushed Congress aside.
Trump is acting as if he has all the power right now. This is true not only in his demands about cutting interest rates, it's true about the executive decrees that he's issuing every day, where he states some emergency and then declares, by the powers vested in me as President of the United States, I do X, Y, and Z. The tariffs are the purview of Congress. They are not for the President of the United States to single-handedly overturn the international trade system. That's not how our Constitution works.
Sachs says the rule of law is needed in government. The Federal Reserve, which is the U.S. central bank, is an independent agency. And investment manager Crowes says there's a danger when politicians meddle in a country's monetary policy.
If politics starts getting into monetary policy, you now, as a foreign investor, even a U.S. domestic investor, can't necessarily trust that your interest as a bondholder will be respected. And so that's a potential risk for the dollar and a potential risk for interest rates. All of this feeds into fears within the stock market as well, because everything levers off of the U.S. Treasury. You're seeing rates tick up here, even with a risk-off market.
Crowes says he hopes all of Trump's talk is just noise, adding most investors are assuming that Powell will fill out his term as Fed chairman. But until the chaos in the White House is brought under control, U.S. markets will likely continue to experience wild swings. Thomas I. Likeness, Net 25 World News.
The independence of the Federal Reserve is under scrutiny as President Trump reportedly studies options to oust Chair Jerome Powell, stemming from disagreements over interest rate cuts. Take a look.
Donald Trump wants rid of Jerome Powell. He blames the Federal Reserve Chair for being too slow to cut rates and says his termination cannot come soon enough.
If we had a Fed chairman that understood what he was doing, interest rates would be coming down too.
Trump's advisors say they are studying whether to oust Powell before his term ends next year. But can a US president fire the Fed chief? The short answer is no one seems to know for sure. White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett says Trump's team is studying the question. He suggested there may be new legal analysis on the matter, though it wasn't immediately clear what he was referring to. Powell himself says the president has no power to fire him, and he won't go even if Trump tells him to.
Our independence is a matter of law. Congress has, in our statute, we're not removable except for cause. We serve very long terms, seemingly endless terms. So we're protected in the law. So, Congress could change that law, but I don't think there's any danger of that.
The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 says he cannot be dismissed for disagreements over policy. But all eyes are on a case now at the Supreme Court, looking at whether Trump overreached in firing 2 Federal Labor Board members. That could set a precedent for the Fed too, though Powell thinks not.
I don't think that decision will apply to the Fed, but I don't know. It's a situation that we're monitoring carefully.
Stocks have fallen again as Trump ramps up his standoff with Powell. Investors are concerned that ousting the Fed chief, or even trying to, could undermine the bank's status as an independent, objective decision maker. Traders worry that policymakers could be pushed to cut rates, potentially fueling inflation. Brian Crowes is president of Scharf Investments.
If politics starts getting into monetary policy, you now, as a foreign investor, even a U.S. domestic investor, can't necessarily trust that your interest as a bondholder will be respected. And so that's a potential risk for the dollar and a potential risk for interest rates.
Those fears show up in the foreign exchange markets, with the dollar now at multi-year lows against other currencies. Even if Powell is pushed out, Trump may not get his wish for lower rates. The Fed structure would give remaining board members and regional bank presidents the power to set policy. If they resisted making cuts, Trump would then have to decide if he wants to assault the central bank as a whole. That's a move that would be very unlikely to soothe markets.
Accusations of gang affiliation have thrust a group of Venezuelan migrants detained at the Blue Bonnet Detention Center in Texas into a desperate fight against imminent deportation from the U.S. Among them is Jonathan Betancourt, who, in a plea captured on video, vehemently denied any connection to the criminal gang El Tren de Aragua. Take a look.
Venezuelan migrants detained at the Blue Bonnet Detention Center in Texas made desperate pleas for due process to avoid deportation from the United States. Jonathan Betancourt was among a group of migrants who faced imminent removal from the country. In a recent video call that was obtained by Reuters, he said he and other detained Venezuelans are not part of the criminal gang El Tren de Aragua.
I am detained here with 30 Venezuelans who were being taken out under the Foreign Enemies Law, accusing us of being part of El Tren de Aragua. No, we are not part of El Tren de Aragua. We are family men. We need your help. We need this video to reach thousands of people to go viral. We are innocent. We are barbers, family men, people who have nothing, who have no ties to that organization. They are judging us simply because of a tattoo. They gave us this paper today, April 18th. Pray for us. We are really a little scared. We don't know what is going to happen to us.
He spoke again on Sunday, saying he still didn't know what was going to happen. His brother Juan spoke to Reuters from Caracas.
My brother is scared because he's not a criminal. He went to the U.S. to work legally. He was working. He doesn't want to be sent to El Salvador. That's what he fears. He's innocent and wishes to return to Venezuela. He is very afraid.
Lawyers with the American Civil Liberties Union, who are representing the migrants, urged the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday to maintain its block on the deportations to El Salvador. The lawyers said President Donald Trump's administration was prepared to carry out the deportations under the Alien Enemies Act without judicial review and contrary to the Supreme Court's prior orders. Lee Gallant is an ACLU attorney.
We have asked for 30 days notice because that's what Germans during World War II received the last time the Alien Enemies Act was used. We'll see what the courts ultimately decide on. But right now, the government is giving 24 hours or less notice with an English form that doesn't even tell people that they have the right to contest their designation. Whatever the courts ultimately decide, the government's current proposal can absolutely not stand.
The Trump administration urged the justices to lift their order on Saturday that temporarily barred it from deporting a group of migrants under the rarely used wartime law. In a statement over the weekend, the White House said, quote, "We are confident in the lawfulness of the administration's actions." The Trump administration has already deported more than 200 Venezuelan and Salvadoran men it claims are gang members to a maximum security prison in El Salvador.
As we reported yesterday, a controversy is swirling around U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, with reports alleging sensitive military attack details were shared in a private group chat that included his wife, brother, and personal lawyer. Now, President Trump is backing Hegseth, dismissing the reports as the work of disgruntled employees. Here's the latest. The latest allegations involve a signal group of chat, separate from a previous incident where a journalist was mistakenly included in a discussion of planned strikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen. This second chat reportedly contained flight schedules for U.S. airstrikes. Hegseth's wife, Jennifer Ratchet, a former Fox News producer, holds no official position in the Pentagon. His brother and personal lawyer both work at the Department of Defense, but questions remain about why they would have access to this information. Hegseth addressed the media, dismissing the reports as fake news.
You know, what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. Won't give back their Pulitzers. They got Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. And on hoaxes, time and time and time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters. This group, this group right here, full of hoaxsters that peddle anonymous sources from leakers with access to grind and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And when we know exactly what it is.
When asked if he had spoken to the president,
Have spoken to the president, and we are going to continue fighting on the same page all the way.
President Trump dismissed questions about the signal chats.
Pete's doing a great job. Everybody's happy with him. We have the highest recruitment numbers I think they've had in 28 years. No, he's doing a great job.
Can you explain why you're comfortable with Secretary Hegseth using Signal to discuss those military plans?
Are you bringing up Signal again? I thought they gave that up 2 weeks ago.
There was a new report this weekend that he used in a separate chat that included some family members, a personal lawyer.
It's all just the same old stuff from the media. That's an old one. Try finding something there.
Sir.
The White House maintains that no classified information was shared. However, former defense officials have raised concerns about the potential risk to military personnel. Signal's end-to-end encryption, while secure, doesn't eliminate the risk of information being viewed or shared improperly. And the news continues here on Net 25. We'll be right back.
Trask Construction. Brighter. It's hotter. The most awaited happening of your summer. It's the Summer Blast 2025. But wait, the best got better. Because it is Net 25's silver anniversary. Grabe ang init ngayong Summer Blast. Kaya mag-summer outfit check na tayo para sa fun games, water park adventure, rides, neon lights na pwedeng pang selfie, fireworks, at pinaka-inaabangan nating lahat, concert all night long. Isang buong araw ito. So get your tickets now and experience the summer you'll always remember. Only at the Philippine Arena Complex, Ciudad de Victoria, Bocaue, Bulacan, on April 27, 2025. Sobrang init na ba? Let's vibe this Summer Blast together with Net 25.
Sending astronauts on long journeys to Mars presents a monumental logistical challenge, especially when it comes to food. But scientists in the UK believe the answer lies in taking a miniature farm with them. And researchers are exploring how to grow food, fuel, and even medicine in space using just a few cells and a special container called a bioreactor. Take a look. The cost of sending supplies into space is astronomical. Dr. Rodrigo Ledesma Amaro from Imperial College London explains the staggering economics.
So this project is about how we can produce the food we need if we want to travel in space, if we want to colonize other planets. It's really difficult to bring everything we need from Earth. Just think that an astronaut consumes between half a kilo and 1.5 kilograms of food per day. And every kilogram we ship to space can be $20,000 US. So imagine every meal can be something like $10,000.
The solution, according to Dr. Ledesma Amaro, lies in harnessing the power of tiny organisms.
So the solution is using microbes, so microorganisms such as bacteria or yeast, that we are currently using on Earth to make some of these products already. So we can do microbial foods, we can produce ingredients like vitamins that are required for human health. If we bring a tiny little cell out in space, that cell can then grow and produce everything we need.
Their concept is now being tested in space. Europe's first commercial returnable spacecraft, Phoenix 1, launched aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 carrying a miniaturized automated laboratory called Space Lab. Akil Shamul, CEO of Space Lab's developer, Frontier Space, highlights the crucial factor in space travel.
Lab in a box, fundamentally, is a bio and wet chemistry lab like what you see here, essentially. It has fluidic control, thermal control, the pressure is controlled, the atmosphere is controlled. And what we're trying to do is really bring it back down and miniaturize them and make them automated. For the fundamental reason is that mass per kilogram is the unit economics of space. The heavier it is, the more expensive it will be. And what we're trying to do is reduce the cost and make it more accessible.
Dr. Ledesma Amaro explains what this space-bound experiment involves.
So they look like the one I have behind me. So this is a bioreactor. They're actually growing cells of yeast that are producing a particular vitamin precursor. And they can be collected, extracted, and consumed. So for space, this is very difficult to bring. So we need to rethink how this bioreactor may look like.
Frontier Space is developing the specialized equipment needed for this extraterrestrial farming.
So this is where the great collaboration with Frontier Space is coming along, and they are developing devices that will work in space as our bioreactors work in our planet. And they look like something like that, but smaller, more modest.
Looking ahead, Shamsul envisions a future where these space-based bioreactors become essential for long-term human presence beyond Earth.
But what we're seeing now is that the whole space infrastructure is getting built. So we're going to have commercial space station. We have much more regular uplift and downlift capability that enables us to really build and permanently station our bioreactors.
The data from this initial mission will be crucial in refining the technology, potentially paving the way for astronauts to cultivate everything from biodiesel to even vanilla ice cream on their long voyages. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on Net 25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you for joining us. Good night.